Hi, it's Martha here of K&R Styles, and I was going to try to go live and do a live on YouTube, but unfortunately it wouldn't let me do that. Because I just thought, well, I might as well. Haven't really created any videos in a while. Um, I'm basically right now, I split up my days. I'm going to try to adjust my camera because it's a little too close to my iron. Um, but anyways, um, I tried to adjust out my days and things and kind of turn things around. So I'm currently working. So if you see me moving around, um, I had split up my time because I'd actually run several blogs, and with school being out and me not having to worry about teaching, at least for another month. We start back really, really early, which means I only have about 5 weeks left of my summer, and that doesn't seem like a whole lot. Because we go back in the end of July, and we will be actually starting school. The students come back on August the 1st, and like I said, that's not a whole lot of time to be doing that. But currently what I'm doing is, today was a sewing day, and I actually made a few things today. We'll see if I can pull things up. So I made this cute little number because someone turned around and said, I really want something that's for boys. So this doesn't have like the ruffle on it like the other one did. And I don't have that to show because honestly my granddaughter loves everything that is ruffled and cute, and she claimed that was hers, because I had her model it and she just took off with it. She was like, that is mine. But I went ahead and did that today. I think it's the only thing that I actually sewed today. Right now I'm sorting through loads and loads of fabric. I had a bag of fabric. This is what it started out as. I learned to quilt a long time ago. And learning to quilt was absolutely one of the best things ever. But unfortunately, once you learn how to quilt, you get to the point where little pieces of fabric are no longer things that you throw out. So whenever I made bibs, there were little pieces like this that came out, and I actually got a let's see, what was it, 2 1/4 inch squares out of it. So I cut a few just to see what I could do, and I actually have another stack that little bitty pieces like this right here. So all of these little pieces, I have another great big giant stack, and for that I'm putting all of the pieces that are too small to be cut into wide enough strips, and that are not big enough to cut into the 2 1/4 inch square. So this right here currently represents most of the bibs that I've made since 2019. And I say most of the bibs, and that's because I am still finding scraps, because I would just chunk them in a bag and I would go, oh, I'm going to cut those and put them in a Ziploc bag. And that never happened. I don't know how many of you can actually relate to, you turn around and you're sewing and you have little pieces of scraps and you go, oh, that would make, I could put that into a quilt. And then you never get that cut. But I've been present because they've been in the bag for so long. Some of these have been in, if they were in this bag, they've been in there since 20 20, and if they've been in a plastic, like, grocery bag, they probably have been in there since 2019. But I never throw anything out, and the only reason why is because once I learned how to quilt, that was it. All fabric is fabric, and anything can be turned into a quilt if it's big enough. And you have enough of them. So, like, I had, see if I can pull out my, so these were scraps that I had from things that I had made over the years. Some of them were probably from baby quilts that I actually cut out pieces. I had pieces left over. Didn't need them, and so I just kind of put them together and placed them in a bag. So these I planned to turn into a quilt for my granddaughter before she was born. So notice she is about to be 4 in August, and this was part of her quilt. So now she's wanting something different. So all of the designs that I've made, like ooh, goodness. So, like, all of the shirts that I embroidered and do samples, if I'm not going to go ahead and do a shirt, because most of the time I can, you know, create a shirt or something for my grandchildren or friends and give them away. But I have a lot of these, and my granddaughter, she just turned around and she was, like, really upset. She thought I was going to throw them away, and she doesn't realize that her grandmother does not throw anything away. But she just turned around. She said, Mimi, I want this. And I was like, well, honey, it's not a shirt. It was just one of those samples that I did. And I was like, it's not a shirt. And she said, I want it. I want it on a shirt. And I said, well, I'm not going to put that on a shirt because you're not one. And the only reason why she wanted it is because it's Minnie Mouse. And I had created like a Minnie Mouse for someone so that they could see it. And then, lo and behold, I end up just absolutely... So, yeah, little things like this right here. I'm going to cut off the little stringy bit. This little piece I'm going to save. And the reason why I have the little pieces is because if you know how to crazy quilt or paper piece, these can be fantastic. So you just kind of cut out your little squares on, not wax paper, the kitchen wrap, kitchen paper, freezer paper. So you just cut them out on freezer paper and you start sewing them down on there, and you just rip the paper off the back, and you pretty much have a quilt square. So anything like that, I toss them in one pile, and I plan on putting it into another bag or bucket or something. But I have gone through, because I have a very small area currently, and so just a little idea about that. So I have a little small area, and this is really it was a built-in porch. So the person who owned that house, it was a mill house, and a lot of these mill houses have 2 doors. And so the door you see behind me, back when this house was built, would have been the front door, and you would walk into the main area. The houses were duplexes, and they were joined by a door and in the center. So in my living room, I have a closet, and the closet, they built the closet in. They took this side of it and turned it into a closet. So this is my bedroom, and I have a closet there, where the doorway to the other side would have been. And so same thing on the living room side. There's a little doorway so that it goes straight into, it would go straight in there, but now it's all closed in and it's a little closet area, and we just kind of use it to store stuff. But we moved into this house in the middle of May, I believe it was, because I really hadn't posted a whole lot. I think I did put something on the blog about it, but we ended up being homeless for a while. Really just displaced. We were very lucky that, you know, someone stepped in and provided us with a temporary housing situation, and then they needed the house for someone else. So we've been trying to find a place and really could not. I had actually met with the gentleman who owns this place and had applied for it and had talked to him, and he was really surprised that I knew a lot about mill houses. And that was just because I grew up in mill houses. My grandmother lived in a mill house when I was born. That's where we lived. So I've just been, you know, I've knew about mill houses. Grandparents lived in mill houses. My parents worked in mills. And a lot of times, especially for like my grandparents, if you worked at a mill, you pretty much lived in the mill community. And so even when they had different housing situations, so for example, my great-grandfather played mill league baseball, and the mill league baseball, they would provide them with, you know, home, and they played baseball and they had a job. So they worked at the mill, and they also played baseball for the mill team. And so my great-grandfather, he, you know, lived in these mills are mill communities, and that's what I'm living in now. The mill communities were built around the mills, and people who worked there lived there. And so these mills actually had, we call them mill hills, and not all of them sit on hills. This one does because of the power, well, the canal. So I live on the off of the Broad River, and the canal for here runs off of the Broad River, and the Broad River's really huge, and then the canal kind of narrows down, and it comes in and powers much this community and the next community over. So before they placed the power company here, the canal actually powered the mill, and they have torn down the mill since, and they actually put up a bridge that a new bridge in the area that went over the canal and the Broad River, and it kind of separates the two counties. And it's kind of unique when you think about it, but the project that they did here really helped out the community. I told my son, I said, you know, the sign is still up when you come into the community that tells truck drivers that they need to slow their speed down and what gear to get into because of the steep slope. but the steep slope is no longer here because when they put the new bridge in, it pretty much took care of all of that. So I had, when I first moved to the area, they were just starting or were in the process of building the new bridge. And so when I first came into the area, because I came down here to attend church, and the church is no longer the church is no longer here. They've moved it to another place. But I remember it being very difficult to get to because some of the roads were really worn and from wear and tear of people coming and going, and that's the only way in and out. And so the road, when it came in, dipped all the way down to the canal. So I sit really high up, and yet, so the front of the house, there's another hill that sits up, and the house across the way, the water and erosion has just washed out it was their basement. So the walls are gone on their basement, and the house is just barely sitting up there. But when I talked to the owner, he was telling me, he said that there used to be 40-something houses up here on the hill alone, but now there are only 7. And it's because a lot of these houses, when they built them, they popped them up very quickly so that their employees would have a place to live, and they really didn't think about erosion and what happens over time. And so many of these houses basically just washed away in the rain. So the house, there's an empty lot next to us, and there's nothing really left. And what you can tell is they built the houses without a foundation, which is crazy. The house that we're in, they have actually done a lot of work of trying to save the house and build it to the point where it now has a foundation, and it's burned my, that's twice I've burned my finger. But it's they're wanting to save it, and he actually has he owns most of the houses in the area and rents them out, and has put a lot of work into these houses of trying to save them, because he grew up in the community. And you know, when you have people who actually grow up in a community, community pride is everything. And a lot of the on this side that I live on, a lot of these kids actually, I have taught them or will be teaching them. Matter of fact, I can't go check the mail at the post office without hearing screams of "Miss Thurston, Miss Thurston." And my son just looked at me and goes, "You're really popular around here." Yeah, pretty much. And he said, "So how do you know them?" I said, I don't teach them. And he was like, "Well, how do they know your name?" Because I have morning duty, and I see them every morning, and it's the same thing. So now a lot of my grandsons, because he attends the same school, a lot of my grandsons' classmates now, when they would see me in the hall, or they'd see me going from the gym to our middle school hallway, because he's in kindergarten, they would be hey, hey, hey. And so they would grab me and hug me because that's what he does. So that kind of happens. But anyways, but currently I'm working to get a lot of these little scraps. I'm trying to clean up a lot because I don't really have the room. I've run a 40% off sale, 40% off $40 sale in my shop. That's currently going on right now. Because I really just need to get rid of a lot of inventory and things because I can't make anything new until I do. But anyways, I'm trying to get rid of a lot of stuff because I realize I have way too many things going on as far as fabric is concerned, and not nearly enough room. And I know that that's gonna, the not having room, that'll change at some point in time, but right now it's just not. But anyhow, well, I'm going to get back to work. Hopefully I will try to pop on, create some more videos here now that we have better Wi-Fi access, because we did not have that when I first got here. We didn't even have cell phone service out here. We still don't. It's very spotty. But anyways, hopefully I will have everything when I get to sewing. Probably when I start sewing these. But I have my camera set up on my sewing machine so that I'll be able to do that. But hopefully we'll get that taken care of. Anyways, just checking in. I'm going to continue to work. Bye.